start running. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this one, that one, damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of This, and I hope you are having a wonderful Monday. I am here with What If Deku Had Mechamaru's Powers Part 3, or Scars. Alright, I know some of y'all may be excited, but I'm going to have to run through some things for those who haven't kept up with the series. And before that, actually, go watch the last two parts. If you haven't, the playlist will show up now. Please go check it out, because then you can understand this better, but I will be explaining some things here. Alright, so, first off, who is Mechamaru? Mechamaru's true name is Kokichi Muta. Kokichi Muta was born with born with a lot of special traits. Not the best ones. He is basically crippled to an insane degree because of his heavenly restriction, but in return he got a bunch of cursed energy, which allowed him to span his energy over about like the entirety of Japan, which is insane. He's at special grade level when he actually tries. And I'm going to put a bit of a spoiler warning here. If you don't want to learn anything about him, you might just not want to watch this video, but I will explain his powers now. His power is puppet manipulation, cursed puppet manipulation. He, using his cursed energy, can create these puppets, these mechanical things, and can enhance them in any way he wants. They can have claws, swords, they can shoot out blasts, and he can create a multitude of them. He has a giant one called Ultimate Mechamaru, or Ultra Mechamaru if I'm not wrong, and he has a bunch of attacks. He is in Kyoto, so he is on the other side. He's with Aoi Todo, Mai Zenin, Nishimiya, our little Miwa, and all of that. He is an extremely strong sorcerer. So that's all I can say for now. And let's just dive in. This little recap is going to be short, but like I said, you're going to have to watch the last two parts to actually get this. So, alright, let's get right into it. So, the last part actually started with the trip to the USJ. The villains attacked and everyone was split up, but as Deku was brought to the water area, he made a water puppet and used it to carry Mineta and Asui to safety, and the three start to fight against the villains. They beat some of them up, but during the fight, Shigaraki tries to kill Asui, only for Deku to beat his ass with the puppet, and filled with anger, Shigaraki sends a Nomu to attack Deku, but Deku manages to beat the Nomu using a massive puppet before then passing out, and he called All Might without anyone even noticing, so he came in time just as Deku lost consciousness. After this, the teachers investigate while trying to keep everything under wraps, but some of it does get out there, and after that, the festival starts. Deku gets first place in the cavalry battle and the obstacle race, and now next up was the challenge. The next challenge was about to begin, so let's go. Alright everyone, let's spin it again, Midnight would say. Midnight then grabs and spins the roulette as every student waits in suspense until it eventually stops, and a creepy smile would turn. Alright everyone, let's spin it again, Midnight would say, as Midnight would then spin the roulette and every student waits in suspense until it eventually stops, and a smile would creep upon Bakugo's face, and he turns back at Deku. Should be fun, right? Deku with an annoyed look is then told by Midnight, as is everyone, that they were going to be doing one-on-one battles. Of course he's happy, Deku thought. This is when he feels a tap on his shoulder and turns to see Tetsu, who asks, "Oh, why is that explosion guy threatening you? Aren't you in the same class?" And this is when Deku looks back to see Bakugo, who's still grinning at him, and everyone in Deku's direction is freaked out as he then whispers to Tetsu that Bakugo is simply competitive and can be misunderstood. He's actually a pretty good guy, Okay, I guess, Tetsu would say. Taroki is excited for the one-on-ones, but not for the same reasons as Bakugo, and for now everyone is told to go rest and take some recreational time, and this means the spectators can also take a break, get some food, the students can also go eat and all that, and the heroes can have time to discuss who they find interesting. So every class starts to go back to their own reading room, and this is when Aoyama points out that Todoroki and Deku and Bakugo are actually gone. We find Deku in front of Todoroki at the tunnel, and this is when he would ask, "What do you want?" "I just want to make something clear. I don't hold any ill intent towards you," Todoroki would say. "Well, you have a funny way of showing it," Deku would say, and Todoroki then says, "Regardless, I am planning to beat you. It's nothing personal, Midoriya. Maybe you're strong in terms of practicality, but I will never lose. I'll prevail with my ice." Deku then lifts an eyebrow to this before then asking why Todoroki won't use his fire side. "What aggravates me is you made me break my pledge in that instant. You fired your blast. I actually released a bit of heat. It felt disgusting." Deku would then say, "Well, that's not my problem, Shoto. I have no problems using my powers. My puppets are what keep me. Of course, for you it does. That's only normal, but it's different for someone like me. Have you heard of court marriages?" Todoroki then goes on to explain Endeavor's goal in mind when he wanted a kid, and he wanted to make a powerful hybrid that could surpass him and All Might, and he talks about how he got his scar. Point being, you're strong. You showed that in the USJ. So I have to beat you no matter what. only with my ice. We then see that Bakugo had actually been hearing all of this and happened to stumble upon the two, but he didn't show his face, and this is when he actually hears Todoroki gasp in horror. Bakugo, alerted, would then say, "What the hell is going on?" He then reveals himself as Todoroki and Deku notice him, but Todoroki's face was filled with horror. He wondered what he was so scared of before his eyes then trail off as he then looks down at Deku lifting up his sleeve to show his arm, which was filled with many deep scars. Deku rolled up his uniform to show Todoroki an example of how things used to suck for him. "See? These are my first scars," Deku would say. "This is why you changed in the stalls," Bakugo would say, and Deku then rolls his sleeve back down as he then says, "My quirk is really complex but simple. To create puppets, I use negative energy. It can be derived from anything, but without that hate I have, it's hard to summon a lot. You get what I'm saying? These barely compared to the many more I have in my body." Todoroki then tries to say something, but he can't, and the same goes for Bakugo as they were kind of frozen, and Deku then starts walking away. "Don't feed on hate for power like I do, Shoto. You're much warmer. You're better than me." He then heads out to the canteen for some food as Todoroki and Bakugo don't really know what to do and just stand there. But Bakugo soon breaks the ice as he then walks past Todoroki, saying that this doesn't change anything and he will not let him win. After a while passes, the students then gather again and Mineta trick the girls into wearing cheerleader uniforms and they are forced to go along with it. Then Midnight draws lots and puts up matches, but the two people that drop out are still the same. What's it called? I forgot his name. The guy with the tail. I feel so disrespectful about doing that. I forgot his name. Shoji. Nope, that is a Naruto character. You get what I'm saying? It's the guy with the tail and the kid who wears the Dragon Ball Z cosplay as his superhero costume. And Deku ends up with Shinso, and people are paired up the same, etc. Until the first match, Shinso and Deku is then up. Deku and Shinso then step up on stage, and President Mike then explains the rules, and Cementos is on standby to stop the fights from getting out of hands, as is Midnight. And he's going to repair the stage if it's messed up. Cementos will. I feel bad for that Shinso kid. He basically has no chance, right? What even is this quirk, people will be saying. As Shinso then hears all this mumbling about him, but he doesn't care, and focuses on rallying up Deku. "And Midoriya, you said I didn't have it as easy as us. Is being talented so hard?" President Mike then begins the match, but Shinso keeps talking. "Don't act like you have a hard life when you've been handed everything. An awesome quirk, the attention of the entire nation, all that glory." Deku, however, looks at him blankly, and people wonder why he's trying to antagonize Deku, who then raises his hand, and before Shinso can even realize, he gets a right hook to his jaw, and his vision warps, as the last thing he sees is Mechamaru, and he is sent flying out of the ring and slams into the ground. And Midoriya has won with one attack. Honestly, he was going to win anyway, people would be saying, as Mechamaru, on Deku's orders, then goes out and grabs Shinso, and as he does, he's approached by a stretcher, but with a robotic voice, Mechamaru would then turn saying, "Please, let me." "You can talk," one of the nurses would say, as they would then say that it's okay if he really wants to bring him over, and they say to follow them. And the puppet then nods and follows them, and Deku then walks off stage. Like I said, I don't underestimate anyone, Deku would think. So the next match is Todoroki versus Sero, and Deku is in the stands just talking with everyone about how the fight will go, and Bakugo sitting a bit above then asks him, "How do you do this every day?" Everyone wonders what he's talking about, and Deku says it's not that big of a deal, I have you guys. "So even you can talk like that," Midoriya, Kirishima would say, and he would say, "What's that supposed to mean?" And they all start teasing him, and Bakugo would say that they're being childish, but they look at him with that look that just says, "Dude, you're really calling us childish? Us?" And Bakugo gets pissed, as Suyu would then say, "See? You win this one," Bakugo would say, and they start to chuckle a bit, and the other classes are surprised they can be so chill when basically everyone is after them. This is when Todoroki actually beats Sero, but not in an overly violent manner, the way he did before, and then he moves on. Everyone else would then fight. Uraraka fights Bakugo, it's pretty epic, and Deku fights Ida and wins. Tokoyami fights and beats Yaoyorozu, and all that until it is time for Deku to fight Todoroki, which is one of the most anticipated fights in this festival. As Deku is heading out though, he is met by Endeavor, and Deku would say, "Oh, hello. You're finally here," Endeavor would say. "I'm gonna be honest, your quirk is quite impressive, being able to fly as you want, create an army in an instant. You're exactly what Shoto needs." What he needs? Endeavor would then say yes, as Todoroki's match against him will make him use his fire side because he'll be cornered whether he likes it or not. Be sure to give it your all, alright? Sorry for my bluntness, but I had to tell you. He then starts leaving when Deku would say, "You do know that Shoto isn't you, right?" He stops in his tracks and goes to say something, but Deku says, "Don't worry, I'm still gonna go all out if he doesn't use his fire. It's not really my problem. I just want to be a hero." As he heads out, Endeavor would then think that he actually kind of resembles All Might a bit, and when he talks like that, he sounds even more like a pro hero than a kid. And as Deku steps onto the stage, it erupts with fire as the crowd would cheer, and the two would meet each other for their match. Midoriya versus Todoroki. Start! President Mike would yell, as Taroki would then step forward, releasing a wave of ice at Deku, who sees it coming and uses a quip. And then he yells, Albatros. His blast clashes with Todoroki's ice, and once again it shatters before it then reaches Todoroki. But as it does, he makes a wall of ice and jumps away. Damn it, I've lost the element of surprise, he would think, as President Mike would then say, whoa, Midoriya used that beam again. Todoroki then keeps looking around carefully, and this is when a hound forms and goes at him, but he manages to dodge, only to then be hit from the back with incredible force. And you get higher. I don't know enough about his quirk to win with this. Taroki would then run away and create a path of ice that goes up, and he starts to think of a strategy, only for Deku to then fly up to him using his Nue, while he has his fist cocked back. I forgot, Todoroki thought, as Todoroki is then punched in the face, and as he's sent flying, he holds his hand out, and the ice that Deku stands on envelops him and the Nue, as he cannot move from the neck down. But to everyone's surprise, Deku would then flex and blow it all away, as the Nue would then caw in anger. Oh man, that glove seems to give Midoriya incredible strength, President Mike would say. Todoroki is being countered every step of the way. Back in the stands, everyone in each class stand on edge, with Kirishima then saying that this is so intense, and Momo would say, Midoriya is not trying to let him get away. It's a good plan. Back in the fight, as Todoroki keeps trying to attack Deku, all his attacks are countered easily, and Deku stays in the sky as he then looks down at Todoroki, and he then says, you won't beat me at half strength, you know. Todoroki then tells him to shut up as he waves upward, and he releases a wave of ice that explodes out, reaching people in the stands, but Deku's bird would dodge it, and he would jump off as it dissipates, with Deku starting to slide down the ice. Hound formation, Deku yelled, as Todoroki then instantly backed away, because everyone by this point knows that this move is very, very dangerous. But to his shock, out of the ice would rise out ice hounds, and everyone's eyes widen. Quick thing I want to add in for those of you who might not know, if I didn't explain enough, it's for everyone. Even when Deku's wools or like whatever he makes are made of different material, they're usually keeping a color of brown. The exception to this are, of course, when he made the water puppet, it was blue by nature. So no one really ever noticed the difference because they thought he only made it out of like metal, but it was other materials. But people like Suyu and Mineta have seen it in action, so they know what it is. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Back in the stands, everyone is wide-eyed as Bakugo would ask, he can do that? Mineta would then say, oh yeah, when he helped us at the USJ, he made one of those puppets with water, right, Asui? Suyu would then say it was unstable, but it was still good enough to carry us to safety. I guess it needs to be solid material. And you're telling me this now? Bakugo would yell. President Mike then says, incredible, Midoriya is using Todoroki's own ice against him. He created his puppets with ice. What the heck, that's so OP. What's actually his quirk, people will be saying? The ice hounds then leap towards Todoroki and pounce to attack, but he dodges them. And President Mike would then say, oh, I forgot to say this kid's quirk, didn't I? Well, I'll give that honor to his teacher. Aizawa, tell us what's going on here. He then gives the mic to Aizawa, who then says, Deku's quirk is called Mecha. By making contact with the materials needed, he makes a mechanical puppet to fight for him. They all come in different shapes and sizes, so it could be stone, metal, sand, even ice. You can make a puppet out of it. Well, that's really damn strong. Can you at least explain the gloves and the firing lasers things? President Mike would say, and then he puts the mic back to Aizawa's face, and he says his quirk is powered by emotions. Mostly negative ones. He can use it to create these puppets as well as form those rays. It even helps him heal faster. This means he always has to keep a calm mind when fighting or he'll lose. But Midoriya has, from my point, already nearly mastered his ability, and Todoroki won't be able to win if he don't use his fire. Back to the fight, Todoroki sends another wave of ice at Deku and he blasts it with his albatross, and considering what their teachers just said, like people think that he's gonna lose anyway because he's not really like going all out. Right now, nothing is in Todoroki's favor, and his body is going into hypothermic shock, and he's freezing all over. Just use your other quirk, Deku would say. You're starting to piss me off, as he would then yell and ready another attack, which he fires at Todoroki, who barely manages to dodge it, as the ray then hits the walls of the stadium again. Shit, that's how his quirk works, Todoroki would say. If I keep pissing him off, then he's just gonna get stronger. Todoroki, as he's running, is then punched hard in the stomach, as another puppet came out of the ground and hit him, and it would then roundhouse kick him and send him flying to the floor. This then busted his lip as he was bleeding, and then he looked to see the puppet waving at him to get up, kind of like gesturing him and taunting him. If you don't use your fire, then you will lose. You have no chance. You know that, right? You're reaching your limit. Why did you even join UA? Todoroki then gets up and readies another ice wave, saying that because he wanted to prove his dad wrong. You really don't want to be a hero anymore? You're just gonna lose to me because you hate him that much? Todoroki then freezes in his tracks hearing this, and he would then see Deku sigh, before to his surprise then unzipping his uniform. Todoroki, horrified, would then say, stop, what are you doing? Everyone then gasps in horror as Deku reveals his heavily scarred body. All the students, including Shinso in the crowd, are out of words. He has so many, Sato would say, as Bakugo would then think, that freaking idiot, what's he doing? The whole crowd is quite weirdly quiet, and Deku then yells, our scars will make us stronger, Shoto Todoroki. As he talks, he's being recorded and he's being taken photos of, but he keeps talking. If you're gonna keep being a hero, you don't need to be scared of your scars. If you are, then I was wrong about you. You're crazy, aren't you, Todoroki would say. The best way to fight is crazy, Todoroki, Deku would say, as Todoroki then smiles, saying, I must be psychotic then. His right side would then burst into flames, with Endeavor then getting excited, as the crowd would be as well, and Todoroki would then say, Thank you, Midoriya. Actions speak louder than words, Deku would say, as he then claps his hands together and he focuses as behind him rises a giant Ultra Mechamaru, being a giant golem showing only half of its full body, as it then readies an albatross blast from its mouth. Todoroki notices the puppet is way bigger than it was in the USA, and he realizes that Deku is taking him seriously. So he goes all out as well, and everyone just is hype as hell because these kids are out here doing some incredible stuff and inspiring each other. And then the two attacks would release and collide, but as they do, Cementos creates a wall between the two, which is then blown up as a giant gust of wind hits everyone in the stands. And when the wind eventually stops, Cementos and Midnight are surprised that they're still alive, and as heroes, even they were scared that they weren't gonna survive that. And as the dust clears on the stage, it reveals Deku is still in it while Todoroki is outside on the ground, tired. No! Shoto! Endeavor would yell in sadness as President Light would then say, and the winner is Izuku Midoriya. Deku then raises his hand high while everyone congratulates him, and they like Deku even more because he's exposing himself like this, but it was a courageous thing to do. He just wanted to help out someone. Be sure to become a hero, kid. We're rooting for you, Izuku, they'd be saying, as Deku then walks up to Todoroki and down to the ground, he reaches his hand out, and Todoroki grabs it. Thanks. Deku then says no problem and proceeds to help him up, when an oncoming stretcher then comes, and he lays Todoroki down, as nurses then say they're sorry about his scars. Don't worry about that, Deku would say. I'm really fine. Take care of my friend over here. What a pure kid, they would all think, as Todoroki is then taken away on the stretcher, and Deku is quickly covered up by Cementos and Midnight. Keep this blanket on for now, okay, Midnight would say. Deku would then apologize for the trouble, when Cementos then said it's okay, and they're gonna have to make Deku a new uniform because he has to stay here. He can't help out, but Midnight can take care of that for him. So they head off as Midnight then wants to ask about the scars, but she can't bring herself to do so. Who would do such a thing to a child, she thought. Back in his booth, President Mike then takes a break and cuts the audio as he then lays back in his chair exhausted. Damn, these kids are gonna put us out of a job, aren't they, huh? Isaiah would then say yeah, and President Mike asks, did you know? Isaiah would then nods and President Mike says he's just happy the kid hasn't gone to the dark side because he seems like he's been through some shit. We then cut to Deku in the waiting room putting on his uniform as Midnight would then say she has to leave, but she says to stay here and heal before going back to the stands to watch the next fight. He would nod and she's about to leave when all the 1A students run in checking up on Deku, even Bakugo in his own rude, weird way, and Midnight would think it's good that at least he has friends he can rely on. Alright, take care, kids. She then runs out of there and Momo goes to say, I'm sorry, I really shouldn't pry. Seriously, it's fine, Deku would say, but I can tell you guys later. I don't really want to ruin the mood right now. I think we should go watch the next match. It's Bakugo and Tokoyami, right? Midoriya, Tokoyami would say in a sad and yet caring tone, as Deku would then stand up saying, come on, I think we should be caring about Shoto right now. I did a pretty big number on him. He then heads out and he's gonna go see him while Cementos is fixing up the stage and everyone joins him to see Todoroki if he's okay. And while they are, Deku stands in a corner and notices that he's bleeding from his nose like before, but he notices something different about himself. It's like he's about to unleash something, but he forgets about that for now, and goes back to the stands. As he walks over, heroes will be saying that he did awesome, and some spectators say the same thing, and Kaminari then put his arm around Deku saying, you're pretty popular, huh, Midoriya? Deku then laughs this off saying that he did what he just felt like had to be done in the moment, and when he's about to sit down, he sees rows of students avoiding his gaze, because now they know Deku has been through a lot to get this strong, which makes it even harder to look at him because they thought he was just being arrogant. While Deku doesn't really pay any mind to it, his classmates and everyone else do. And during the match with Tokoyami and Bakugo, Bakugo goes ham. But, Tokoyami can't even do anything much because Bakugo is determined to destroy him. And as he wins, he then points to Deku before then pointing his thumb down saying, I'm gonna destroy you. After this, of course, Deku versus Bakugo is up. And as Deku is heading to the stadium, he meets Todoroki, who wishes him good luck. And he puts a thumbs up and runs. Deku then makes it and meets Bakugo in the stage, and the final battle is allowed to start. The crowd is already going crazy. I'm gonna beat you this time. Ain't no walls around here, Deku. Deku then says, yep, sorry Bakugo. The hell are you on about? Deku then reaches his right hand out, holding back his left in a fist, as he then says that if Bakugo can counter this one attack he's about to release, he wins. And he smiles saying that's too easy before Deku then summons Mechamaru in front of him, and Mechamaru copies Deku's movements as he reaches out as well, creating 5 orbs of energy that surround him. And usually these would be released in a violent wave, but this time they're far more controlled. They're not even moving. Ooh, Midoriya's got another special move, President Mike would say. Seems like he's had a sort of breakthrough. Just look at that intense concentration. Deku's eyes are left empty, as everyone can see it on the screen, and while in this state of absolute focus, he then makes a fist with his right hand, as is Mecca Maru, and he says, "Rapid volley." The orbs of energy release at Bakugo, who throws an explosion at the orbs coming at him, but they would just come out and blast through the explosions, and he barely dodges them before then looking forward, asking Deku if that was just it, because that was way too easy. When out of nowhere, Kirishima would yell, "Behind you, Bakugo!" As Bakugo then turns, he gets blasted in the back by all the attacks simultaneously and is sent flying forward as his eyes would just be wide-eyed, and as he hits the floor, he struggles to even get up, and he says to Deku, "I'm not done yet." He slowly staggers up to his feet and barely manages to stand straight, saying, "See, you ain't taking me down this easy." Deku, seeing this, is surprised before then saying, "Good, I give up." "What?" Midnight then walks up and asks why, to which he says, "I've exhausted my tank. I wouldn't win anyway." "Ah, that's too bad," Midnight would say. "I wanted to see you two go at it." As everyone asks what's going on, Midnight then signals to President Mike, that Deku has forfeited, and President Mike makes it known that Deku has lost and Bakugo is the winner. Seems like Midoriya wanted to just do one final move before his tank ran dry. Everyone is disappointed, but clap for the two, and Bakugo, who despises and hates all this unearned win, goes to walk towards Deku, but he feels pain and starts to fall. "I shouldn't be this hurt. I thought I was fine," he would think. But he's then caught by Deku, who makes it seem like nothing happened, and he asks Bakugo to just raise his hand as they go back to the waiting room. Bakugo would grunt in anger before then raising his hand and saying, "I hate you." "I know, buddy," Deku would say. After this, Bakugo then gets a medal for first place, while Deku is second and Taroki is third, and Bakugo is too hurt out of rage to really do much. So he just kind of stands still and actually receives the medal, and he really does hate it because he lost in the most embarrassing way, because he won and yet he had to have the person he supposedly beat carry him to the waiting room. So after the exams end, everyone then goes back to class and they are told to go home, and they have the next day off and everyone does their thing. Taroki goes sees his mom because he's been inspired by Midoriya, and Ida goes to see his brother who has been hurt. The next day, Deku has formed a sort of connection with his powers, a much more deep understanding, and is happy, and he feels he can improve, and he goes to train, and he's congratulated by a lot of people when they see him around because they know who he is and what he's done on TV, and they also hope that whatever he's dealing with, he does so well and doesn't get deep in trouble. So his break day, which everyone has taken, just consists of him training and all that stuff, and then he just goes ham. And when everyone goes back to class, he actually meets Ida and they go to class together, but he instantly notices something off about Ida because he's seen how Ida normally acts. This is not how Ida normally acts, and it kind of freaks him out a bit because he's forcing a smile. Ida never does that. So they go to class, and Aizawa then shows everyone how many heroes want them, with Taroki, Bakugo, and Deku being in the 4,000s each in terms of nomination, while everyone's score is brought a bit down compared to the original because they just don't compare to the three, and no one is surprised by this, but they are disappointed that some of their names didn't even come up. Don't worry, Aizawa says, regardless of whether or not you got a nomination, you will be getting workplace experience. Speaking of workplace experience, you'll be getting code names today. So we finally get to pick our hero names. That's what you're talking about, right? Sato would say. And Aizawa nods as they all get excited, and Midnight then walks in and everyone takes turns picking names, and some of them don't really know what they want. And Deku, as he goes up, turns his board and everyone guesses he's gonna pick Mechamaru. He actually says, actually I like this better. He actually shows the name Deku, which Bakugo gets mad at, and Midnight says, "It's a good choice. That's what Explosion Boy keeps calling you, right? A nickname. I like it." The others agree, and Deku then goes back to the seat, and others go up, and some don't really get their names right, such as Bakugo, who picks the name Kaboom and Lord Destruction Murder, but Midnight said he should just stick with Kaboom for now, so he does, and she actually kind of likes it. Ida, however, only puts his own name down, not knowing if he should use his brother's name, and he's just kind of conflicted right now. After all of that, everyone is then given a list of heroes to choose from, and they talk about it, and until it's time to go home. As Deku is leaving, he's actually met by All Might in the halls. He would say, "Yo, Midoriya." "Oh, hi, is something wrong?" Deku would say, and All Might would say with an almost shaky voice that he said someone who actually taught him wanted to meet him. "He used to be my master when I was going to the school." Deku is surprised to hear someone like that exists and wants to meet him and asks if All Might is okay because he looks like he's seen a ghost or some shit. And All Might says it's fine and he's simply stating that he's a bit strict. But he recommends that he goes with him and Deku nods as All Might then tells him the name of the hero and then runs away really fast. When All Might do sure talk a lot, as Deku then turns back to see Todoroki, who jokingly asks if he was All Might's legitimate child or something. Why do you look so serious? I was simply joking, Todoroki would say, and Deku says, sorry, I'm just not used to the sight of you. Taroki then says it's fine because now he's starting to have fun again and he has to thank Deku for that. So the day then, of course, passes and the next day everyone meets at the station and go their separate ways. But even Uraraka can notice that Ida is becoming different. He's just not acting the same. But unfortunately, her and Deku can't stay with him because they have to leave. So Deku heads off to where Gran Torino's apartment is, and it looks really shabby, as if the apartment had been abandoned. This doesn't feel like the right place, he would say, as he then unsurely walks up the steps and knocks on the door, causing it to open on its own, and now he knows there's something up. He enters the building, and as he does, he sees Gran Torino on the ground, seemingly dead, as he is then reminded of a scene from his past. He can't be dead, though. This isn't blood. It smells different. Gran Torino, as if he had been brought back to life out of nowhere, then lifts his head with a smile, saying, it's ketchup, sorry about that. He then gets up with his cane, and he says he simply tripped when he was trying to do something, and Deku asks why he's putting on an act. Gran Torino then looks at him, asking why he thinks such an old man would trick him. I just know. I have experience with these things, Deku would say. Very well then, Gran Torino would say, as he would then drop his cane and instantly disappears, as Deku was then kicked across the face and he slams to the ground, as he then looks around to see Gran Torino up in the corner with a smile. Try your best to catch me, Midoriya. Deku then wipes his face and sees blood as he then gets up and his puppets then crawl out of the ground and he nervously sweats thinking, so he's that kind of person. How do you think Deku's training will go? Will Gran Torino help him actually get stronger? And will Ida still go after Stain? You will find out later in the upcoming parts, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, but this is the end. Welcome to the end of the video, guys. Actually, I have to apologize a lot because you might have noticed a bit of change in the audio a lot. I had to re-record this at different times of the day, and I had a lot of disturbances. This last part is actually being recorded as I'm getting ready to go to school. It's like 6 a.m. right now, which is crazy, but somehow I managed to finish this. I apologize if the quality was not as high as you thought. The next part is going to be awesome, I promise. I should have definitely chosen when I, wanted to post this way better because this was not, well, it just did not work. But I still did get the story together and made everything make sense. So I hope you will enjoy. I'm going to go to school and not miss the school bus. So stay safe, all that, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.